Section 4 of Romances of Old Japan. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Romances of Old Japan by Yei Theodora Ozaki. The Quest of the Sword, Part 4. It was springtime, and in the town of Tokushima the cherry blossoms were bursting into bloom. The 2nd of March had come. Footnote: March by the old calendar fell a month later than the present way of reckoning. And Onoto Gunbei was secretly rejoicing in the wicked thought that his schemes for the disgrace of his rival had been successful. Sakurai once removed from his path, his own advancement would be certain. Tomorrow Sakurai must take the Kunitsugu sword to the palace and lay it in state before the daimyo. For reasons of his own, Gunbei knew that this would be a matter of impossibility. Sakurai would therefore be suspected of having stolen it, and his degradation would be the certain result. Gunbei's sinister features relaxed into a malignant smile as he proudly stalked along the road on his way to the shrine at the western end of the town. 2 of his retainers were following at a respectful distance in his rear. He had reached the precincts of the temple when one of these men came hurrying up. "My lord, Jurobei, the man for whom you are constantly on the lookout, is in that tea house close by. I have just recognized him. What steps shall we take?" "Very good," said his master. "You have done well. Let us hide ourselves, and when he leaves the place, rush upon him unawares and seize him." Jurobei, after a short time, walked out from the hostelry. His mind was entirely engrossed with the thought that the sword must be retrieved from Gunbei's possession before the morrow, the 3rd of the 3rd month. As he abstractedly strolled along, the enemy lying in ambush pounced upon him from behind. But his years of Ronin's hard and reckless life had trained his muscles to such phenomenal strength that in the tussle that followed, within a few rounds, he came off triumphantly the victor. Gunbei, who had been a spectator of this unequal contest, drew his sword. Jurobei, noting his action, caught up one of Gunbei's men and used him as a shield to ward off the blows. The news of the fight was soon carried to Sakurai, who immediately hurried to the spot. Directly he became aware of the identity of Gunbei's opponent, he shouted, "What presumption to stand up and attack your superior! Surrender at once!" He then turned to Gunbei. "I will take him, therefore put up your sword." Jurobei, who understood that this was strategy on his master's part, obediently allowed himself to be bound. Sakurai then handed him over to Gunbei, who gave him in charge of his henchmen and bade them conduct him to his house. Gunbei's joy was extreme at having Jurobei in his power. He ordered him to be secured to a tree in the inner garden while he stood and mocked at him. "Oh, Jurobei, I have a grudge to pay off against you. Why did you kill 2 of my men 3 months ago? Tell me that." "I slew them because they intended to murder my master," replied Jurobei. "Indeed, I believe that you are also the man who stole the sword for which your master is responsible. Ho, ho, ho! You are both robbers. You must have connived at the theft of the sword together. Confess." "You may say what you like of me, but you lie with regard to Shusen." In a rage, Gunbei and his accomplices put their sheathed swords beneath the ropes which bound Jurobei and twisted them round and round so that they cut into the flesh and inflicted great torture on their victim. Now it happened that Takao, the daimyo's illegitimate half-sister, whom Izaemon had been enabled to rescue from the infamous quarter through Jurobei's help, had been taking refuge in Sakurai's home. Here she had been seen by Gunbei, who had fallen madly in love with her beauty and had planned to make her his mistress. One day in the absence of Sakurai he had sent his retainer Dotetsuke to carry her off by force. Takao, now installed beneath Gunbei's roof, was obliged to listen to his dishonourable advances, but so far had managed to repel them. She was in the secret of the lost sword, and her purpose was to use the present occasion as an opportunity of laying hands on it if possible. On hearing the commotion she opened the shoji and eagerly scanned the direction whence it arose. To her astonishment and distress, she recognized in the bound and helpless form none other than her valiant friend Jurobei. The thought that she owed her deliverance from her wretched past to his chivalrous generosity flashed through her mind. Trained to resource and intrigue, on the spur of the moment she resolved to pretend that Jurobei was her brother. This feigned relationship would afford them facilities for consultation concerning the sword. Impetuously advancing to the edge of the veranda, she looked earnestly at the captive and uttered a piteous cry. "Oh, oh, it is my brother! Oh, my poor brother!" "This is interesting," jeered Gunbei. "Are you really brother and sister?" Takao implored Gunbei to release Jurobei. "If you listen to me, I will set him free," replied Gunbei, whose desire was all the more inflamed by her rejection of his suit. "But if you refuse to obey me, I will torture him with both fire and water." Takao wept with her face hidden in her sleeves. "Is it possible that you are a samurai?" she sobbed. "Does your heart know no sympathy, no mercy? This is unendurable. I cannot bear to see it." "It is you who know no sympathy either for me or your brother. I have made conditions with you, Takao. It rests entirely with you. Accept my love, and you are both free." "Such a matter cannot be decided of my own will. I am a woman and not a free agent. I must consult my elder brother." "Very well," responded Gunbei. "If you cannot decide this by yourself, by all means consult with your elder brother Jurobei and come to a good understanding. I will leave you both for a while." At a sign, Gunbei's henchman released Jurobei. "Persuade your sister to obey me and I will forgive you all and set you free. I must have Takao's affection. Think well and give me an answer that will gladden me." Then turning to Takao he continued, "If you finally reject my proposals, you shall both be cruelly put to death. Your 2 lives depend on your will. I shall await your decision in the inner part of the house." Here Gunbei retired. Blinded by his wild passion for the unfortunate girl, he was unable to see the resolution expressed on both their faces. Both his mind and soul were clouded by the desire to possess, at all costs, the beautiful woman who defied him. Unaware of her high birth, the knowledge of which would have abashed him in his pursuit of her, he considered that she was the legitimate prey to his will. Takao and Jurobei were left alone. They entered the room, crossing the veranda. Seating themselves, Jurobei made a profound obeisance at a respectful distance from Takao. "Even though it is for the sake of the Kunitsugu sword, it is a sacrilege that the close relative of our noble daimyo should for one moment be called the sister of such a poor fellow as myself." "It is not worth while to trouble your mind about these trifles, while the finding of the sword is at stake. Think not of who is master or servant. We must find the sword this very night." "Yes, yes," replied Jurobei. "I have the same purpose as yourself. Now is a good opportunity. Gunbei is madly in love with you. For a time, pretend to listen to his wooing. Whatever he may say, do not let it anger you. Then, while he is off his guard, draw out the sword he is wearing from its sheath. If the habaki, the ring which secures the guard to the blade, is of gold, ornamented with carven butterflies and flowers, and the markings on the edge of the blade is the midare yake. Swords of different smiths were distinguished by the marks on their blades, formed by the different methods of welding. The midare yake is an undulating line like the waves of the sea. Be sure that it is the missing Kunitsugu sword. Then give me a sign. Till that moment I will be waiting in concealment close at hand." "Yes, yes," answered Takao. "Although Gunbei's attentions are hateful to me, It is my duty, for the sake of the sword, to pretend to yield to him for a short time. In this way Sakurai will be saved. Let us agree upon a signal. I will go to the stream and, throwing some cherry flowers into it, I will repeat, Hana wa sakura, hito wa bushi. The cherry is first among flowers, the warrior first among men. They separated quietly. Takao sank upon the mats, musing sadly. The prospect that lay before her was utterly revolting to her mind. Meanwhile Gunbei, eager to know the result of the conference he had permitted between the two, quietly entered the room from behind. Her attitude of dejection greatly enhanced her pale and aristocratic beauty, and Gunbei thought that she looked more ravishingly lovely than he had ever seen her before. The sight of her inflamed his longing to possess her as his own. "What a woman!" he thought to himself. "She shall be mine." As he moved across the room, Takao, who was hitherto unaware of his presence, started to her feet. "No, no," remonstrated Gunbei in seductive accents. "I cannot allow you to run away. Do not deceive yourself for one moment. I have come for your answer, Takao. It is yes, is it not?" He thought that as he found her alone and in this pensive frame of mind, that Jurobei must have persuaded her to become his paramour. His pulses throbbed, and the blood in his veins ran fire. In his overmastering passion he did not notice that his would-be victim shuddered as he took her hand and drew her close to him till she was reclining on his knees. Dreamily he whispered, "Takao, you are as beautiful as an angel. Yield to my desire, and I will make you my wife. Only listen to me, and all shall be as you wish, both for yourself and your brother Jurobei. Come, come, let us belong to each other." And he endeavoured to draw her towards the inner room. Takao, in the meantime, had rested her hand on the hilt of his sword, and was about to draw it from its sheath. "What are you doing, Takao? Why do you touch my sword?" asked Gunbei sharply, roused out of his reverie of love. "Think of me no more. With this sword I will cut off my hair and become a nun. You may rest assured that never shall another man touch me all my life." With these words she attempted to draw the sword from his girdle. Gunbei, thwarted in his longing for the beautiful woman, now lost his temper. He pushed her roughly to one side. "You scorn my love, then? You are an obstinate creature. Instead of forgetting you, I will torture Jurobei. You shall soon know what my hatred means." Clapping his hands, he called his confidential servant. "Dotetsuke! Dotetsuke!" When the man appeared, his master wrathfully gave the imperious command, "Tie up that woman to yonder cherry tree." Dotetsuke obediently dragged Takao into the garden and bound her with the rope that had a little time before made Jurobei a prisoner to the same tree. Gunbei, who had watched the execution of his cruel order from the veranda, retired into the room to meditate sulkily on his ill success. His heart was bitter within him with chagrin and baffled desire. Suddenly, through a small side gate, there appeared a priest of sinister appearance who, approaching the balcony, saluted Gunbei. "According to your wishes, I have prayed 7 days in succession for the daimyo of Tokushima to be seized with mortal illness. Where is my reward?" "Do not speak so loudly," reproved Gunbei. "You may be overheard. You shall be duly compensated for your services later. This is not the time. Return at once." "Yes, yes, I will obey you. But do not forget to let me have the money soon." And Kazoin, the wicked priest, fingering his rosary and praying for evil, departed as stealthily as he had come. Meanwhile, the unhappy Takao was left alone. She struggled to free her hands from the cords that cut into her tender flesh, but in vain. "What shall I do?" she sobbed. "Jurobei must be waiting for my answer. I must find some means of letting him know my condition. Is there no way by which I can get free? I am powerless to find the sword or to help Shusen." She struggled desperately against the tree, and in her anguish she murmured, "Gunbei is surely a devil in human form. He has stolen the sword himself in order to incriminate others. Shusen will be lost and his house ruined unless we can recover it this very night." In her violent efforts to wrench herself free, the cherry tree was shaken, and several blossoms fell into the stream. The falling flowers brought hope and comfort to Takao's heart. "The holy Buddha has come to our aid," she reflected. "Jurobei will surely see the flowers in the water and think that it is the prearranged signal." Meanwhile Jurobei, from his hiding place, was watching the stream, waiting with impatience for the promised sign. Just as he was beginning to chafe at the unexpected delay, he caught sight of a cluster of white blossoms floating down the current of the rivulet. Ah, then it was the Kunitsugu sword which Gunbei stole and wore on his person, never letting it out of his sight night or day. Creeping along within the shadow of the trees, he stealthily made his way across the inner garden towards the room where he expected to find Takao. But what was his surprise when he came upon her bound to the cherry tree. "Jurobei, at last you have come," she gasped. "Takao-sama, whatever has happened? Why are you treated like this?" "It is because I could not endure Gunbei's hateful attentions," she answered, weeping. "Help me, I cannot move." Jurobei set to work to unfasten the ropes, and in a few minutes Takao was released. "Leave this matter to me," advised Jurobei. "I will find some means of outwitting Gunbei yet." And Jurobei, followed by Takao, who was endeavouring to arrange her disordered robes, boldly strode into the room of his enemy. The screens were pushed aside, and Gunbei appeared. He glared fiercely at the intruding couple. "How dare you release that woman without my permission?" "It is my intention to counsel her to comply with your wishes," replied Jurobei. "Therefore I have set her free, to give her to you as my sister." "Yeah, and Jurobei, have your powers of persuasion induced your sister to consent to my proposals?" inquired Gunbei in mocking tones. "Yes, I know not which I am, an elder brother or a go-between. If you have any other work for me, I am at your service." "Ha ha!" sneered Gunbei. "Then, as your sister agrees to please me, we shall now be members of the same family. As a sign that we are closely related, take this by way of congratulation." And suddenly drawing his sword, he slashed at Jurobei. Jurobei's keen eye forestalled the action, and, skilled fencer that he was, like lightning he seized a bucket close at hand and, holding it up, adroitly parried the rain of blows with his improvised shield. "What does this mean?" he exclaimed. "This is too much attention, even from a relative. It is troublesome. Surely so much ceremony between members of the same family is unnecessary. Please take it back." Gunbei's answer was another wild attack on Jurobei, who nimbly avoided the thrusts. While his whole attention was engrossed in trying to cut down Jurobei, Takao stole behind him and snatched the long sword hanging at his side from its sheath. "Here is the Kunitsugu sword!" she joyfully exclaimed. On hearing these words, Gunbei turned like a demon of fury upon her. "If you have found it, I will kill you both!" shouted Gunbei. But before he could execute his threat, Jurobei seized him from behind. Totetsuke, a secret supporter of Shusen Sakurai, and who all this time has acted the part of a spy and pretended accomplice in Gunbei's vile schemes, now escorted his real master upon the scene. Sakurai loftily addressed his unmasked foe. "Your villainous plots are all laid bare, and it is impossible for you to escape justice. Confess all and pray for mercy." Gunbei, choking with rage, flung off Jurobei and rushed upon his abhorred rival. Sakurai skillfully parried the onslaught, seized Gunbei, and with a prodigious effort hurled him out into the garden. "Dotetsuke!" called Sakurai. "Come and help us." "Yes, yes," answered the man, as he ran to Jurobei's assistance in holding the wretch down. Gunbei started. "What? Are you also on Shusen's side?" and he gnashed his teeth in impotent fury. "You have won," he turned to Shusen. "It is useless for me to attempt to conceal the truth. I stole the sword, thereby hoping to bring about your ruin. I can say no more. Take the sword and return to your house. Does not that suffice?" "The sword is but a small part of the crimes you have committed. Listen, villain that you are. You have done a much greater wrong. Our lord, the daimyo of Tokushima, has loaded you with favours, and you, like a dastardly traitor, have requited his kindness by conspiring to compass the death of your benefactor." "Silence, Shusen. That is a lie. I have always hated you as my rival, but I have borne no spite towards our lord. What proof could you possibly have for such base allegations?" And Gunbei stared hard at his accuser. Shusen smiled superciliously as he clapped his hands. In answer to the summons, Izaemon led in a prisoner, Kazoin, the wicked priest. "Here are my witnesses of your schemes against the life of the Lord of Tokushima." Gunbei realized his checkmate. There was nothing to be gained by lying further. He was a declared traitor. In desperation he attempted to rally his strength and attack Sakurai again, but he was promptly seized and again thrown down into the garden. "You are a bad man, Gunbei. Our lord shall judge you." Then, turning to the men, he gave the command, "Bind him, hand and foot." When the mortified Gunbei lay helpless and cringing at his mercy, Shusen turned to his trusty vassal and addressed him, saying, "Jurobei, I promote you in my service. You are a true and faithful knight. Let us rejoice, for we have triumphed, and our enemy will receive his deserts. He is defeated." Takao here brought forward the sword and placed it slowly and ceremoniously before Jurobei, who had staked his life, his house, his all, and lost his only child in the tragic search. "It is found in time," she said. "Look, the dawn breaks. It is the morning of the 3rd of March." Receiving the weapon with a profound bow, Jurobei, on bended knees, raised it aloft in both hands and presented it to his feudal master, saying, "To your keeping is at last restored the stolen treasure of our daimyo." And thus ended the quest of the lost sword. Note: Kunitsugu was the name of a famous swordsmith who lived at the end of the Kamakura period, 1367. End of section 4. Recording by Maricel Cui.